There are places in the world where history feels alive, where landscapes breathe with ancient memory and pulse with the promise of the future. South America is one of them. Imagine standing atop a windswept ridge in the high Andes as the sun rises over snow-capped peaks, illuminating valleys carved by glaciers thousands of years ago. The silence is broken only by the wind, echoing through stone ruins and terraced slopes that once formed the backbone of mighty civilizations. In that golden light, time stretches, and one feels the weight of every footstep that has shaped these lands. This continent, stretching from equatorial rainforests to icy southern seas, invites us into a story rich with mystery, resilience, and transformation. South America is vast, a tapestry woven from extremes. It is home to the Amazon rainforest, the largest river basin on Earth, teeming with life seen and unseen. It hosts the Andean mountain chain, the longest continental mountain range in the world, slicing the continent like a spine of stone. It holds deserts so dry that ancient artifacts remain intact for millennia, and wetlands so lush that water and vegetation merge into an endless emerald labyrinth. Beneath these landscapes lie tectonic forces that have sculpted continents, fueled volcanic eruptions, and shaped the geography we see today. Above them rise cultures and languages, histories of exchange and conflict, innovation and endurance. Scientists believe that the Amazon rainforest alone produces around 1/6 of the world's freshwater through evaporation and rainfall cycles, functioning as a critical regulator of the global climate. It is sometimes called the lungs of the Earth, though ecologists clarify that the metaphor is imperfect. Still, the sentiment captures the planet-scale importance of its ecosystems. Millions of species, many yet undiscovered, crawl, slither, soar, swim, and bloom in its humid depths. Indigenous communities have stewarded these environments through deep knowledge systems developed over thousands of years, long before foreign explorers arrived with maps and ambitions. Yet the story of South America is not merely ecological, it is profoundly human. Archaeological evidence suggests that early inhabitants arrived between 15,000 and 20,000 years ago, likely crossing land bridges, coastlines, or navigating early Pacific routes. Over time, societies emerged, innovating agriculture, irrigation, mathematics, astronomy, and architecture. The rise of the Inca Empire is perhaps the most well-known chapter, but countless other cultures, Chavin, Moche, Nazca, Tiwanaku, and Mapuche among them, visible in ruins, textiles, art, and oral histories, left legacies still resonating today. The Inca civilization, at its height in the 15th century, built an empire spanning over 2,500 miles along the Andes, connecting regions through an advanced road system that facilitated communication, trade, and governance. Their engineering mastery remains awe-inspiring. Machu Picchu eludes explanation not only for its strategic placement, but also for its architecture, which withstands seismic tremors thanks to precisely cut stone blocks fitted without mortar. Their agricultural terraces turned steep mountain slopes into fertile platforms, conserving water and preventing erosion long before modern engineering arrived. While these civilizations flourished, European explorers set their sights on new lands. In 1494, the Treaty of Tordesillas divided the world between Spain and Portugal, an agreement negotiated without acknowledging the millions already living here. In the centuries that followed, South America became a stage for colonization, conquest, disease, and forced labor. The region's social fabric changed dramatically as indigenous populations declined, and enslaved Africans were brought across the Atlantic to work plantations and mines. The continent became a crucible of cultures, indigenous, European, African, shaping languages, religion, music, and traditions that evolved into distinct South American identities. Today, we see echoes of this history in every corner of the continent. Spanish and Portuguese dominate linguistically, except in pockets where indigenous languages like Quechua, Aymara, Guarani, and Mapudungun endure. Catholic churches sit beside ancient sites, their architecture blending European forms with local symbolism. Food traditions reflect centuries of exchange. Potatoes, quinoa, and corn, gifts from Andean agriculture, are now staples worldwide. Geographically, South America stands at the crossroads of natural forces. The continent sits atop active tectonic plates. The Nazca Plate subducts beneath the South American plate, generating earthquakes and volcanic activity along the Andes. The Atacama Desert in northern Chile is among the driest places on Earth, receiving less than 1 millimeter of rainfall annually in some regions. Its extreme dryness has preserved evidence of ancient settlements and inspired space agencies to use it as a terrain analog for Mars research. Meanwhile, Patagonia stretches across the southern reaches of Argentina and Chile, a land sculpted by glaciers, windswept plains, and shifting ice fields, where stories of early settlers mingle with myths whispered across its silent expanses. From the outside, South America appears rugged and remote, but its history reflects global interconnection. Silver extracted from mines like Potosi fueled European economies for centuries, reshaping commerce, currency, and international trade patterns. The struggle for independence spread across the continent in the early 19th century, led by figures like Simón Bolívar and José de San Martin, whose campaigns ignited aspirations for sovereignty and unity. Yet the dreams of a single pan-South American federation fractured under political, economic, and cultural tensions, giving birth to modern nation-states from Venezuela to Argentina, Brazil to Chile, Colombia to Peru and beyond. Through cycles of democracy, dictatorship, reform, and revolution, the continent has grappled with questions of identity, inequality, land, and power. Its people have endured hardships, civil conflict, economic crises, and political repression. Yet resilience remains at the heart of the South American experience. Festivals like Brazil's Carnaval, Peru's Inti Raymi, Colombia's Feria de Cali, and countless local celebrations reflect centuries of cultural blending, artistry, and survival expressed through music, dance, and storytelling. As we continue our journey through South America, we will explore these layers of geography, ecology, history, and modern transformation. We will trace rivers, climb mountains, and descend into jungles where biodiversity reaches staggering levels. We will follow the rise and fall of empires, revolutions, and dreams of unity. And we will witness how the legacy of this continent speaks not only to the past, but to the challenges and possibilities of the future. This is not just a history of South America. It is an exploration of humanity's connection to land, culture, and resilience. And this journey has only just begun. The deeper one travels into South America, the more elusive and layered its story becomes. The very landscapes shape destiny here. Nowhere is this more evident than in the Amazon basin, a sprawling mosaic of rivers whose waters connect 9 countries. From above, the rivers resemble coiling serpents, shimmering through dense green like liquid veins sustaining a living giant. Even today, much of this rainforest remains unexplored, its biodiversity so vast that scientists estimate thousands of plant and animal species have yet to be classified. Within this world under the canopy, day and night blur into unfamiliar rhythms. The distant roar of a jaguar, the chorus of insects, the rush of sudden rainfall pounding the forest floor. But the Amazon is not merely wilderness. It is home to more than 400 indigenous groups, each with unique languages and traditions. Many communities continue to live in relative isolation, guided by knowledge systems passed down through generations. Their survival depends on intimate relationships with the forest, a balance forged through hunting, fishing, small-scale agriculture, and spiritual reverence for the natural world. These cultures challenge modern assumptions about development, prompting scientists and policymakers to rethink conservation, sovereignty, and sustainability. The forest is not a resource to be consumed. It is a vast system of interdependence, ecological, cultural, and climatic. Still, the forests face immense pressures. Deforestation driven by logging, cattle ranching, mining, and agricultural expansion accelerates habitat loss, threatens indigenous land rights, and contributes to carbon emissions. International efforts to address these issues highlight the complexity of balancing economic needs and environmental stewardship. South America stands at the center of global climate conversations, as the fate of the Amazon reverberates across continents. To the west, the Andes rise as a monumental barrier stretching over 4,300 miles from Venezuela to Chile. These mountains, born from tectonic collisions, host volcanoes, glaciers, and high-altitude ecosystems adapted to extreme conditions. The Andean condor, with wings spanning over 10 feet, rides thermal currents through the thin mountain air, a symbol of endurance and freedom. Ancient footpaths still traverse slopes where traders once carried goods, stories, and ideas across the empire. Carbon dating and archaeological surveys reveal that Andean societies mapped the stars, tracked solstices, and aligned temples with solar events. Their worldview integrated astronomy with agriculture, guiding planting cycles and religious ceremonies. The remains of these civilizations, their tools, pottery, textiles, and monumental architecture, offer windows into knowledge systems developed through careful observation and collective memory. Further south, between Argentina and Brazil, the Iguazu Falls thunder through subtropical forests. Stretching nearly 2 miles across, with more than 250 cascades during high water, they inspire awe with their sheer scale. Mist rises from crashing waters, nourishing lush ecosystems and legends among local communities. Early explorers were astonished by their magnitude, describing them as a natural wonder surpassing anything they had imagined. Today, Iguazu stands not only as a tourist destination, but also as a reminder of the power of water to shape land, life, and imagination. Just as striking is the stark contrast of the Atacama Desert to the west. Under cloudless skies, radio telescopes form sprawling observatories like ALMA, capturing signals from the distant universe. Here, scientists peer across space and time, studying cosmic microwave background radiation and star formation. The desert's extreme dryness creates conditions ideal for observing celestial phenomena obscured elsewhere by humidity and atmospheric interference. It is a place where the boundary between Earth and cosmos feels thin, where ancient petroglyphs share the landscape with cutting-edge technology. Across the continent, colonial history left deep scars. When Spanish and Portuguese rulers imposed rigid hierarchies based on race, heritage, and economic exploitation, societies transformed profoundly. Silver mines like Cerro Rico in Bolivia became engines of European wealth but at horrific human cost. Indigenous laborers and enslaved Africans worked under brutal conditions, fueling economies built on extraction. Entire communities were restructured through missionary campaigns, forced assimilation, and the reshaping of local governance. Yet resistance flourished alongside oppression. Revolts, rebellions, and networks of solidarity laid groundwork for independence movements in the 19th century. The stories of Bolivar and San Martin inspire pride across the continent, but the struggle was not uniform. Some regions saw prolonged battles, others negotiated fragile transitions. Borders shifted, alliances fractured, and visions of unity met the realities of geography, economic disparity, and political division. The dream of a grand Colombia dissolved into separate nations, each forging its own identity while sharing threads of a common history. Languages, cuisine, and art testify to this blended heritage. Samba rhythms pulse through the streets of Rio, tango breathes longing through Buenos Aires, Andean flutes echo ancient melodies across mountain valleys. Even soccer, a passion shared across countries, reflects pride, rivalry, and collective identity. Stadiums become arenas of national expression. Victories unite millions, while defeats provoke soul-searching reflections about identity and aspiration. In the 20th century, South America became a stage for ideological conflict. Military dictatorships rose across Chile, Argentina, Brazil, and other countries, often supported or opposed by foreign powers tied to Cold War agendas. Tens of thousands disappeared, imprisoned, tortured, or exiled during the Dirty Wars and similar periods of state repression. The legacy of these regimes persists today in ongoing debates over memory, justice, truth, and reconciliation. Museums, memorials, and trials seek to confront painful histories and honor victims, while families continue demanding accountability. Economic instability defined much of the late 20th century, with hyperinflation, debt crises, and structural adjustment programs reshaping domestic policies. The promise of democracy competed with corruption, inequality, and uneven access to resources. Yet social movements emerged to challenge entrenched systems, advocating for indigenous rights, environmental protections, labor justice, and democratic reforms. Indigenous leaders gained political representation in Bolivia, Ecuador, and elsewhere, reshaping national conversations around autonomy and resource control. In recent decades, South America has experienced growth, modernization, and technological innovation alongside continued struggles. Expanding cities like Sao Paulo, Lima, Bogotá, and Santiago reveal both opportunity and inequality. Glass skyscrapers rise beside informal settlements. Universities and research institutes advance global science, while rural communities fight for access to health care, education, and land. A continent forged through contrasts continues negotiating its complex identity. Throughout all these forces, political upheaval, cultural creativity, ecological wonder, one theme persists: resilience. South America's story is a testament to the capacity of landscapes and people to endure change, to adapt, and to imagine new futures. Each corner of the continent offers narratives that intertwine land and identity, history and transformation. As our journey approaches its final part, we look ahead to modern South America's challenges and possibilities. The fate of the Amazon, the pressures of climate change, the quest for social justice and equitable development. These questions shape the continent's path forward. But so do innovation, cultural revival, and the deep wisdom carried across generations. The story opens, expanding into the future, even as we step deeper into the past. Today, South America finds itself at a crossroads. The continent's vast natural wealth, cultural diversity, and historical resilience position it uniquely in the global landscape. Yet the path ahead is complicated, shaped by forces both internal and international. Modern South America grapples with environmental pressures, global markets, political change, and social movements calling for dignity, rights, and sustainable futures. This dynamic interplay defines a continent still writing its story. The heart of that struggle lies partly within the Amazon rainforest. Satellite imagery reveals expanding deforestation, driven by agriculture, logging, and infrastructure projects. Environmental scientists warn that losing critical thresholds of tree cover could trigger feedback loops, reducing rainfall and transforming rainforest into savanna over decades. Such a shift would release vast stores of carbon, accelerating global warming and altering weather patterns worldwide. This is not merely a regional issue, it is a planetary one. At the same time, indigenous peoples and environmental activists continue defending their lands. Court rulings in some countries recognize indigenous territorial rights and require consultation before projects proceed. Community leaders risk violence to protect forests, rivers, and biodiversity. Their efforts raise essential questions about sovereignty, economic development, and humanity's collective responsibility to maintain Earth's climate systems. Here, ancient wisdom and modern science converge, offering strategies rooted in sustainability rather than exploitation. Urban centers across the continent tell a parallel story. Economic opportunities draw millions to cities each year, contributing to rapid population growth. Developers expand highways and industrial zones, while informal settlements occupy land vulnerable to landslides and floods. Yet within these cities, vibrant communities thrive. Markets overflow with fresh produce. Artists paint murals reflecting indigenous, African, and European influences. Young entrepreneurs launch startups using renewable energy and digital tools. Amid challenges lie seeds of innovation and hope. Emerging renewable energy projects, wind farms in Patagonia, solar installations in the Atacama Desert, hydroelectric systems along major rivers, signal efforts to transition towards sustainability. Researchers collaborate with global partners to preserve biodiversity, monitor climate trends, and restore degraded lands. The continent's geological, meteorological, and biological diversity positions it as a living laboratory for climate science and ecological resilience. South America could model sustainable development that respects both people and planet. Still, structural inequalities persist. Millions lack consistent access to healthcare, clean water, or quality education. Economists analyze cycles of poverty and instability shaped by colonial legacies, debt, and uneven resource distribution. Political debates reflect tension between extractive industries promising economic gain and movements demanding protection of land and communities. The future hinges on navigating these competing priorities, forging development pathways rooted in equity and environmental stewardship. Across the continent, cultural heritage remains a powerful force shaping identity. Festivals celebrating indigenous traditions, Afro-descendant contributions, and European influences reflect histories of fusion and resistance. In Brazil's Candomblé temples, roots trace back to West Africa. In Andean villages, Quechua and Aymara languages persist despite centuries of suppression. In Colombia and Peru, Amazonian healers carry ancestral knowledge of medicinal plants. Artists, writers, and musicians draw inspiration from the land, preserving memory and imagining futures. Sports provide another lens into national pride and unity. The narrative arc of soccer in South America mirrors larger struggles, the joy of victory, the pain of defeat, the pressure of expectations. Children in rural villages and sprawling urban neighborhoods dream of becoming legends. From Pelé and Maradona to contemporary stars celebrated worldwide, these figures represent possibility, aspiration, and shared identity. The passion transcends borders, sparking celebrations that transform cities into seas of color and sound. Many South American countries have taken bold steps to protect ecosystems and cultural landscapes. Ecuador and Colombia recognize rights of nature in their constitutions. Protected areas expand across marine and terrestrial environments. Grassroots conservation efforts collaborate with scientists to preserve endangered species, restore forests, and monitor wildlife migration. Such initiatives reflect a growing recognition that safeguarding biodiversity is essential not only for local communities, but for humanity's collective future. Even climate-related challenges inspire resilience. Glaciers in the Andes retreat, threatening water supplies for cities and agriculture downstream. Communities respond through innovative water management, sustainable farming, and renewable energy solutions. Scientists work alongside indigenous knowledge keepers, documenting techniques refined through centuries of observation. This integration of modern science and traditional practice offers promising models for climate adaptation worldwide. South America's future remains unwritten, shaped by decisions taken today. The continent stands as a reminder of interconnectedness between people and nature, past and present, local and global. Its landscapes contain warnings and wisdom, beauty and fragility. The thunder of Iguazu Falls echoes the urgency of environmental stewardship. The silence of remote Andean peaks invites reflection on time, endurance, and possibility. The voices of activists, scientists, and community leaders challenge us to imagine futures grounded in justice and sustainability. As we reflect on South America's story, from ancient civilizations to colonial upheaval, from military dictatorships to democratic movements, from environmental destruction to conservation breakthroughs, we are reminded of the human capacity for reinvention. The continent's challenges are immense, but so are its resources, creativity, and resolve. Its people carry histories of resistance, adaptation, and hope. They build futures rooted in cultural pride, ecological responsibility, and innovation. Our journey through South America invites us to reconsider our relationship with the natural world, our responsibilities to one another, and the choices we make as a global community. In a time of climate uncertainty and social inequity, South America offers lessons about resilience, vulnerability, and the possibility of transformation. These lessons extend far beyond continental boundaries. As we close this documentary, consider the power of stories to shape our understanding. The rivers, mountains, deserts, and forests of South America are not merely geographical features. They are chapters in an unfolding narrative. And like any story, its next pages depend on the actions of those who read it. If this journey has inspired you, if it sparked curiosity, empathy, or a deeper appreciation for the world we share, help continue the conversation. Share this documentary. Leave a comment about what surprised you most. Subscribe for future journeys across our planet. Together, we write the next chapter. Until then, thank you for watching.